You're awake. Oh, thank the flames. The healers weren't certain you would be. It's been days that you've been lost to the fever dreams while I sat here, watching and waiting. I suppose it's fitting, considering you saved me from the attempts on my life, that I should care for you after the attempt on yours. Oh, don't try to speak. The blade that struck you was coated in coptis extract, and we will discuss later why a dragon poison that should be harmless to humans seems to have affected your heart and kidney functions. I will admit, your body has fought valiantly, but you need rest now. I will tell you everything that transpired while you were walking the shadows, and you can just lie there and listen. You deserve to know how your sacrifice saved what we worked so hard to build. So, you remember the Great Hall, yes? The resplendent Great Hall. Oh, the way it looked with all the human and the dragon banners hanging side by side. For the first time in 7 generations. The sunlight streaming through the windows and catching on scales and armor alike. Peace seemed so tangible. You could almost taste it in the air. You were meant to speak. You were going to present the declaration you'd helped craft. You had such determination in your eyes. King Aldrich noticed it as well. Oh, it was tense. I should have been better prepared when I saw the way his eyes darted between you and the exit, and the way his hand kept touching that ornate dagger on his belt. Not his ceremonial blade. I noticed that later, but something newer. Something that didn't belong to his usual uniform. You were all of 3 steps away from the speaking stone when he moved. He was very swift for a human, especially one of his age. But then, I suppose desperation lends speed to even the most arthritic limbs. Traitor, he called you. Can you imagine? You've sacrificed more for peace than any other, but... well, we know why now, don't we? You saw it in your eyes that you knew. That you knew about his arrangement with Mercadia, you knew about the weapons, the spells, the gold-changing hands that would pay for it all. All for our people to die on battlefields. And he lunged at you with that dagger. It was a twin of the one that nearly took my life days ago. The same distinctive hilt, the same unholy sheen on the blade. But he didn't expect you to be so quick, did he? Even as the blade caught you in the side, you managed to push me back away from danger. Why did you do that? He wasn't coming from me. You might have dodged him if you hadn't taken that extra 2 seconds, foolish man. The hall interrupted into chaos. Dragons roaring, humans drawing steel. 7 generations of hatred threatening to reignite in an instant. But the most amazing thing happened. Aldrich stood over you, ready to deliver a killing blow. The dagger was in his hand, and it began to glow. This unnatural, pulsing blue light cast very eerie shadows across his face. You see, after you came to me with your suspicions about Mercadia's involvement in the attempt to take my life. When you told me about how you traced the magical signature to her clutch of mages, I took certain precautions. My archmaid worked a clever little spell. Any weapon enchanted with dragon blood would resonate in proximity of the dragon whose essence had been used. It would reveal itself. Knowing you were about to reveal the plot between Aldrich and Mercadia, he brought the dagger that was to be used against me, cast the spell just as you stepped up on the stone. He was hoping to reveal that the dagger that was intended to slay me would show which dragon had been involved in the plot to end my life. And it worked. The dagger in my mage's hand was glowing like a star fallen to earth. And then so, too, was the dagger in Aldrich's hand. 2 with 1 spell. But that wasn't all. As Aldrich stood frozen in shock, looking at his glowing blade across the hall, Mercadia suddenly clutches at her chest scales. Her ceremonial armor just emitted the same eerie blue light. Because the spell didn't just reveal the weapon, it revealed the source of the blood magic, the dragon whose essence had been used. So there she was. It was her own blood on both daggers. Her own blood. She'd supplied it willingly enough to craft weapons designed to kill me, designed to kill other dragons. I can't describe the betrayal. You don't know this, but she was my mother's friend. She cradled my egg in her claws before I was hatched. Yeah. The evidence was undeniable. In front of the assembled delegates from 17 human kingdoms, 12 dragonflights, the treachery was just there, laid bare. Aldrich dropped the dagger as if it had burned him, but it was too late. The guards, both human and dragon, they all moved. And not toward each other, as they would have for centuries, but toward the true enemies of peace. The healers rushed to your side while I managed to maintain order. Barely. Lord Thurgood of the Western Kingdoms was calling for Aldrich's immediate execution. Elder Caltron demanded Mercadia be given up to the Dragon Justice, which, I don't know if you know this, that would have meant her immolation before the Council of Claws, but I think if either of those things had happened, our very fragile coalition would have just shattered along the same old lines of allegiance. I denied them both. Told them that this was not the time for more blood. This was the moment to show that our new union could deliver justice without vengeance, punishment without savagery. While you fought for your life here in this room, I ordered a full investigation. We intercepted the correspondences of their advisors. From there, we got testimony from the arms merchants who had become suspicious about the volume of weapons being purchased. We found ledgers showing payments flowing from both Aldrich's personal treasury and Mercadia's hoard to the same shadow accounts. With all that evidence in hand, we convened an extraordinary session of both delegations. For 3 days, we examined every document, questioned every witness, human and dragon. Some tried to obstruct, of course. Aldrich's son claimed that it was all a fabrication. Mercadia's sister clutch tried to invoke ancient dragon law to halt the proceedings, but truth has a power of its own, doesn't it? The evidence painted a picture actually more disturbing than even you uncovered. For nearly 15 years, they'd been working together. Each time peace seemed possible, they would engineer some incident. A human village burned, allegedly by dragon fire, a clutch of dragon eggs destroyed, supposedly by human poachers. And after each incident, Aldrich's weaponsmiths would receive more royal commissions to forge more swords, more arrows, more siege engines, designed to bring down flying targets. And Morcadia's mages would devise new spells of protection, of detection, of destruction, sold at a great price to dragons who feared human treachery. But what we never suspected was that they didn't hate each other as they pretended. Not at all. They were partners. For years, partners in a business that profited from the blood of both of our kinds, and each exchanging weapons with the other to be used against their own kind, to be planted as incriminating evidence of aggression. By the third day, you were still unconscious, but the fever was at least finally breaking, and the Joint Council reached its verdict. King Aldrich and Morcadia were stripped of all titles, all lands, all powers. They were banished. Aldrich to the frozen isles beyond the northern sea, Morcadia to the smoking wastes where nothing grows and no prey runs. Neither may return upon pain of death, though being in those places might be a death sentence in and of itself. Their assets have been seized to create restoration funds for villages and clutches damaged in the conflicts they prolonged or created. Some are saying that it's too lenient, others are saying that it's too harsh, but it was justice, and it was rendered together by human and dragons standing together. And I don't think that's ever happened before. We have had a long and bloody history, and I think this is the first time we've worked together to end it. Negotiations resumed yesterday, without Aldrich's opposition and Morcadia's subtle sabotage. And we made more progress in one day than in the previous month. The trade routes you proposed have been approved. The sharing of magical knowledge with appropriate safeguards has begun. The joint patrols along the border regions are going to start with the next full moon. And this morning, before coming to sit with you, I signed a provisional peace accord with the new Queen Elspeth, who has assumed her father's throne. Not the full treaty. That honor should include you when you're well enough to stand beside me. But enough for now to ensure that no human or dragon blood will be shed while we complete our work. While you heal. Do you remember what you said to me when we first met? When I asked you why you, a former knight commander, would advocate for peace? You said that peace isn't made by those who have never known war's pain. You said it's forged by those who have bled, who have lost, who have reason to hate, and yet choose to hate the war instead of each other. I didn't believe you then. I didn't fully believe you. A human who spoke a piece while carrying a sword, that seemed a contradiction. But of course, you weren't carrying a sword that day, were you? You came to the Great Hall unarmed, trusting your words rather than your steel. And when danger came, you used your body as a shield. Not for the human, the king who had once been your friend, but for me, the dragon who had once been your enemy. The healers say that you will recover fully, given time. The poison has been purged from your system. The wound itself was deep, but didn't strike any vital organs. That's another miracle in a season of miracles. You should be able to rise from the bed within a week, though it may be another month before you can wield that sword of yours once again. Not that I expect you'll need to. For the first time since before my grandmother's grandmother drew breath, it seems like we may have a generation that grows up without learning to fear the shadow of wings across the sun, or the glint of human steel in the forest. There's still so much work to be done. Centuries of hatred aren't going to be undone in days, no matter how momentous. There will be resistance. There will be attempts to undermine what we've built, but we've removed the architects of the chaos. We've shown our people that cooperation is possible, that justice can be blind to species. And we all have you to thank for it, sir. Without your courage in bringing me your suspicions, without your willingness to trust a dragon queen with information that implicated your own king, we would still be moving toward war, not peace. So, rest now. Heal. When you're ready, your place awaits you at the negotiation table. Not as a human among dragons or a knight before a queen, but as the first true citizen of the world we're creating together. A world where the only battle that matters is the one against our own darker natures. I will return at dusk with soup, more tinctures, to take care of you. If there's anything you need in the meantime, you only have to ask. You've certainly earned that much and more. The humans have a saying, don't they? That we only recognize heroes when they fall. I prefer to recognize mine while they can still rise again. Thank you, hero. And sleep well, sir. Dream of a future you've made possible. And then tomorrow... Tomorrow we will discuss why that dragon poison affected you as it did. I suspect you're not the first of your family to have been loved by a dragon. Yes. Loved by a dragon. Oh, didn't I mention it? No, I suppose I didn't. But then, I didn't need to, did I? I've noticed you're a very observant creature for a human. Well, mostly human. Sleep well, sir. Hey there, cupcakes. Thank you all so very much. This is the end of the line for that story. For now, there are spices with this character. Actually, there was one last week. There's going to be another one this Sunday. She's going to be the character for my spicy Sunday. So there's a little bit more of her. Thank you, everyone who joined me for my live stream, where I was re-recording some a whispery history story that I've now recorded, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It's just one thing after another. I was not happy with, or the sound quality was not where I wanted it to be. So I decided that I would just jump in and do a live stream, and it was fun. I was very embarrassed by how many times I messed up, because I don't normally mess up that often, but I also was anxious, like, having people listen. But it was still fun. It's, even when it's embarrassing, it's kind of fun to be to laugh at yourself. So I certainly had plenty of opportunity to do that. And Mushang was so kind. Mushang Gaming was so kind, gifting YouTube memberships to people while we're in the. Thank you so much, Mushan. And there were also super chats from the Iron Defense and Tizzy Blitz and Eclipse Dragon and Gunner's Mage. Thank you all so very much for being that kind. You're all very kind, and it's stuff like that that lets me be able to do this every day. There's also all of my patrons, and I've got so many new patrons, so I'd like to say welcome to Iron Bear and Sulphurus and Dirtwig O and Raz and Maruim Uchiha. Thank you all so very much for joining me, and of course, this very special Baker and Pound Cake level patrons who just do so much to always have my back. There's Pack 3424, Deanster, Mike D, Flaws, Kuro, Semblance of Life, Charles Tribble, Wheaton, Loot Curator, Limonic Cultist, Bowman, Alton Goodbottle, Techo, Gunner's Mage, Mushan, the Ex-Mafia Bartender, Tomas Rogers, William Gungrave, Barry Wilburn, Esteed, SLE Photo, Harper Evolution, Wolf9004, Melisilo, Bunny, Merrill, Mr. Rickles, I'm a Good Onin, Darth Mythos, Red Death 48, Always Able, Old Bean UK, Kulu Bear, The Swaggy Llama, Artlow, Pierce Tailish, and Christian Cleopatra. And of course, all of you who just give me your time and your attention, and the people who share. The people who share my videos on their social media. You guys, thank you so much. That actually helps me a huge amount. That really does help me, because when YouTube sees incoming traffic, they lend my channel a little bit more weight, and that is always helpful. So thank you all so very much. I hope you will all be as good to yourselves as you are to me, and I will talk to you soon.